Hello, everyone. Welcome back to How Come. This episode is going to be so fun. I am sitting here with a fan of the podcast. We're going to call her Liz because she's staying anonymous. She's amazing. Liz went through all of the assignments, and last night we went to a sex party together. I know, my second sex party, and this one, a lot more shit happened. So we're going to talk about that this episode, and it's going to be so great, and I'm very excited.
How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna jizz.
Here we are with superfan Liz. She was one of the first subscribers to our Patreon. Her and I started chatting. She told me that she was going through all of the assignments, and we've become friends. And so we went to a sex party together last night, and we're going to tell you all about it. Welcome, Liz.
Hi, I'm Liz today.
Yeah, you're Liz today. So Liz, you started listening to the podcast when?
A few months ago.
Okay.
Definitely before the summer.
Mm-hmm.
I think like March-ish.
And you had come before the podcast.
I had come before the podcast. What I like to call my last fuckboy heartbreak had just finished. So
Okay.
I was like still feeling heartbroken and like just rejected and icky.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I need to just do something for myself because I can't get back out there yet. I need to be. I kind of consider myself like, I don't know, like a very goal-oriented like sociology major.
Yeah.
And so the idea of like doing things and experimenting within a structure is like very exciting
Tempting.
to me.
Yeah.
So like the fact that when I started listening, there were already like 6 or 7 episodes.
Yeah.
And I like read the descriptions and I was like, okay, I'm going to go through systematically and I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And it just was like a nice little naughty personal project.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah.
Also like maybe like a challenge, like, ooh, maybe I can come just grazing over my panties, which was episode 1.
Yes.
And I had a friend write in, Becca, shout out, who was one of the first listeners, and she was like, dude, I came from episode 1. And I was like, first of all, shut up. I'm so jealous because I hadn't done it yet. But I was also like, what? Like you can do that? And she was like, yeah. I had only ever focused on sex when I was with guys. She's like, I had never just taken the time to be by myself. And she's like, I had come before, but this was the first time I was like alone and like seeking my own pleasure. And she fucking came from grazing over her panties, which I think is nuts. But congrats, Becca. I'm so happy for you. But how did assignment 1 go for you?
Assignment 1 was really fun because like I can masturbate and know exactly which buttons I need to push and what I need to do. And so that was just kind of like feeling things and not letting myself. Like I did it for the full amount of time.
20 minutes? Did
20
you cry?
minutes.
Because I did.
No, I did
You're like,
not.
no, I did not cry.
I'm sorry. I did not cry. I was like excited by it. And so.
Did you have music?
No.
Silence. Yeah, the thing I did wrong was music, I think.
I think that it allowed me to like, I don't know. By the time the panties came off, I was like ready to finish. I didn't finish just from touching over.
Yeah.
But after the 20 minutes, I was like dripping and like ready to go.
Let's go. Yeah, it's like self-foreplay. It's really interesting. Do you know what you were thinking about at the time, or you're just like focused on yourself?
So I do like, this is a constant thing. Like, I think this is another reason why this was like a really fun assignment for me is that I have so much, like we all do. We all have so much stress going on in the world and the government, all this shit. So it's kind of like meditating. It was like, okay, let me think of something sexy. Oh, this thing I have to do. No, let me think of something sexy. Oh,
yeah,
the problem with our government. Oh, let's. So I was going back and forth. Then I think I kind of got into a place probably around like the 10-minute mark where I was like, this just feels really good. And then I was able to just like focus and go into a fantasy.
Like you're like legit meditating with your vagina. Okay, amazing. And then episode 2's assignment was what? Oh, watch porn. What was the porn that you watched? Had you watched porn before?
Yes. So what's been great about listening to the pod is that I always like felt guilty, like dirty for watching the porn.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, everyone watches porn and women do too. And it's okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. So my go-to categories, which is also a question I'll sometimes ask on a date.
Yeah.
Because you really learn a lot about someone.
Yeah.
Although I don't know what this says about me, is I really like compilations. Because it's like
Compilations
where you could like, oh, I want to see, I don't know, double penetration. I can just see a bunch of very short clips of double penetration over and over and over and over again.
Oh, I've never thought of a compilation.
Yeah.
I do love compilations when it comes to like, old movies that you liked and like those little clips. Like, why not in porn?
Yeah. Why not?
Just cum shots left and right.
Yeah.
Did you masturbate when you were watching that shit?
So yeah, but I like to like not touch myself until I'm like sufficiently into it. And so it's kind of like a warm up. But what I actually do, and I like porn, but what I really like to do when I'm just by myself, if it's not porn, I listen to this erotica podcast.
Ooh.
'Cause I'm like a huge podcast person.
Yeah.
So it's called the Kiss Me Quicks podcast.
Okay.
And there's the sexy librarian Rose Caraway, and she reads short erotica, and her voice is amazing. And I really like just like not watching something, but in my head I can see everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And that's
I think
what
women like audio stuff because it leaves more to the imagination. And I think I said this on the porn episode. Like, I get really caught up in like their like tiny little flaws, like tiny little ingrown hairs or whatever that like you would never notice you were actually in the throes of sex, but because I'm like, this is a production.
Yes.
Why didn't they take this out? So yeah, I think a lot of there's good erotic reading on Beleza Co. They also make good porn, but yeah, there's I think books on tape.
Yeah.
And I know you're dying to do some ASMR sounds, so just do it.
ASMR.
Do you guys know
Thanks.
what ASMR is? It's just people making like little noises and like it's supposed to turn you on.
Turns me on.
Does it?
A little.
Oh my God. Wait, so where can we find the best ASMR?
Well, YouTube, but I follow the hashtag ASMR on Instagram.
Okay.
So it's random ASMR, anyone who like uses the hashtag. So there's like food, you can hear people chewing. You can like hear, there's a lot of slime. Like they play with slime and they make slime and the slime noises. And then there's just like lots of tapping.
Okay, I'll try and listen to it. Maybe this. Oh, you guys, we have an assignment this week. Yes. We're bringing it back. Yeah. Okay. Listen to some ASMR and see if it gets you off. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, it makes me tingly.
Fun. Okay, and so then, did you feel any different about it when you were doing assignment 2?
So usually I go to Pornhub, but I went to, there was one you were talking about. I think it was like Real People.
MakeLoveNotPorn.com.
Yeah. So I went there, then I had to pay for it. So I didn't pay for it, but I watched the free stuff.
Okay.
That was cool.
Okay.
And then I went back to my good old Pornhub because I was just, there was another one. I was like Googled. I have never Googled porn before.
Right.
So I Googled porn. There was another one that I clicked on. But Pornhub, I mean, this is obviously like, I'm not affiliated, but like, I like it. I like Pornhub. It feels like home. I know where to find everything. Yes. And I remember you gave us some, people were talking about different kinds of porn that was like beyond Pornhub. Because I was like, I go onto my phone.
Yeah.
Private in Safari.
You watch porn on your phone?
Yeah. Which also is a weird thing. A lot of people don't.
I don't know.
My computer just feels like too public. I don't know.
I like using my desktop because it feels like a TV.
Ooh.
But then I'm like, oh, the cookies. I'm scared of the cookies.
I was going incognito.
Yeah. Okay, so then what was assignment 3? Oh, assignment 3 was look at your pussy and manipulate it in the mirror and see if it moves.
Yeah, it was. Okay, so. Well, I'm happy I'm anonymous.
I know.
Holy shit. Okay.
Oh, Liz.
Okay, so I haven't told you this.
Okay.
So I didn't have a mirror.
So what did you do? Take your camera phone?
Yep.
Oh, no, Liz.
And there is a recording, but it's in a vault.
Oh my God.
And it was so interesting because
you guys subscribe to Patreon for, no, I'm just kidding.
bonus footage.
Bonus footage.
So I could see like like it getting like ready to come and like wet and
opening.
shiny. Yeah. And then I could see like the muscle contractions.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And so I have it in a safe vault and deleted every other copy, but
Because you're not going to delete it because you want to remember that moment.
I want to remember it.
It was a learning experience.
Yeah, and there's something else in that vault that we'll get to later from another assignment.
Oh, no.
I like documenting.
I know.
things.
I do too.
Yeah.
Did you come after?
Oh, I came like it's on tape.
Unreal. Oh, that's so cool. Is your face isn't in it?
No, it's literally
just like an
the
upshot
pussy.
of your pussy.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that
Were you on the floor or on a bed?
I was on a bed, and
Okay.
I was actually I just used my finger.
Mm-hmm.
So
How long can it take you normally? Like if you want to do it really quick with your hand, can you do it in like a minute?
So it actually depends like where I'm at in the month. Like if I'm like, I guess around like the ovulation point and I'm like so horny, then
Yeah.
it doesn't take long at all.
Your period's done the foreplay for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if it's like before my period and I'm like,
Yeah.
then it's like a production.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Briefly, when was the first time you came?
It was with a pool jet in my parents' pool in the backyard.
And how old were you?
I was like 12 or 13.
And did you know what was happening?
Not really. I just knew it felt really good, and I swam a lot that summer. And was always on the side of the pool, like hoping no one would come outside. And now, still this day, water pressure is
The thing.
it's like a nice shower head is nice.
All right, great. So yeah, I thought that assignment was interesting that you saw so much because I saw so little in mine because I just really didn't know. But it's interesting that you had already been skilled at manipulating yourself, so you can see in real time that shit is happening. And I think that that's important to some of our listeners that are thinking about going down on a woman or fingering. Like you can literally see stuff happening, pulsing, opening, turning a bit red, like clits get hard. They like poke out like a little red rocket, like a dog. So yeah, I think that's a good takeaway from that assignment.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we had episode 4, which I don't think you needed to do. I had to go to my gynecologist and my therapist to make sure that there was no meds in like inhibiting me from coming and that there was no physical reason. You didn't do that, right?
Well, I had a bad experience with a gynecologist around that point, and I ended up finding a new one and going.
Okay.
Because like you and many other women, I also have HPV, and I went to to all the HPV gals out there. You're not alone. And so I got really creeped out by the HPV, and my old gynecologist was like, after she left the room, after I told her I was creeped out and I wasn't able to really have sex because I was like freaking out about it, she like told me to be safe. And I was like, yo, I'm being extra safe. Like, don't tell me to be safe, doctor. So I found this new gynecologist who was fantastic, and she was super thorough and super just understanding and explained everything to me and didn't make me feel horrible.
That's nice.
Like, I got it from my first boyfriend.
Same. I mean, he wouldn't even call me his fucking girlfriend. He just gave me HPV and left. But yeah, no, a lot of people were talking after I did that story on the Instagram. They're like, oh, you're so brave to post about your HPV. Like, thank you, you guys. But also, like, a lot of people have HPV. Yeah. And the only bad thing about it is that you have to get a pap smear once a year and monitor that shit and make sure you don't get cervical cancer. But otherwise, like, you're not a dirty girl, okay? All the guys you know have HPV too.
They gave it to you.
It just doesn't show up in them and they don't have any repercussions. So yes, it's something that's on us to take care of now, but it's not like you're not gross. But I do think it's interesting that like even though you were like sexually healthy, like you were made feel bad by your gynecologist.
Yeah.
Which is such a common thing. Like I think we were talking about this once. Just like when your gynecologist would be like, are you sexually active? Are you with one partner? Are you with multiple people? And you're like, wait, so I have to have a boyfriend in order for you to like think I'm doing a good job and being sexually safe? Like that's just so much pressure.
So much pressure. And I think that like when I became like empowered enough and educated enough to be like, wow, I don't need this doctor. Like, I can go find one that's good. That was like a point where now I don't dread it anymore. And now I can be safer.
Yeah. No, I remember my old gynecologist like a year ago. I stopped going to her because she made me feel weird, but she would every time be like, are you dating someone? And I'd say, yeah, I'm seeing, let's say Daniel or whatever. And are you two exclusive? Well, fuck you.
Do you want to call him right now and ask?
Yeah, do you want to call him? Because I don't want to ask him. And then she'd always write it down in her book. And then the next time I'd be back there, are you still seeing Daniel?
Oh my God, that's terrible.
I know. And I'm like, well, just shut up. Like, just ask me if I've used condoms recently and how I feel.
Yeah. I used to like make up a boyfriend. Like by the one guy I was hooking up with who I liked the most. I'd be like, yeah, me and Charles.
Okay, so now we're on to assignment 5. And this, oh boy, I can't wait to talk about with you. So for assignment 5, if you guys don't remember, I had Dominus Eros and Lola Jean on, and they both operate out of 3F Studios. They're health, sexual wellness coaches. They do classes, everything amazing. So I went to Lola Jean's masturbation class. You didn't need to do that. You already knew how to masturbate. And then I went to a tantric massage with Dominus Eros, who's also known as Aaron. And that was great for me. And you guys just heard about that pretty recently on episode 30 and more in depth. But Liz also went to Aaron. And okay, I'll just let you go from the beginning. So how, like, when you first heard that was an assignment, were you like, oh, fuck, yes, I'm going to do this? Or were you like, Remy's lost her goddamn mind?
Yeah, I think that I thought about it and then I like Googled it. And it was during like that dry spell after like being kind of crushed by a guy. I was like, just kind of in this how come exploratory phase. Yeah. So I was already feeling a little bit more open because I was like along the journey of how come. So I already like trusted you and was thinking about these things and hadn't been touched by a man in a long time. So this is probably like a few months after the like breakup. So, and his office is like, his studio is pretty close to where I am often.
So close.
It's really close and convenient. So I Googled him and I saw a picture and I was like, I hope that's him because he's pretty hot. Like his body's insane. So I went and I was so nervous and I actually went twice.
You did?
I did. I didn't tell you this.
Oh.
So the first time was
Liz.
the first time I did the tantric massage that you talked about. And that was just amazing because, you know, he did the massage, then there was like 15 minutes left and he's like, I can do whatever you want. And I just kind of like asked for what I wanted. And that happened to be like, I just wanted him to lay on me for like the last 5 minutes.
Oh, that's so cute.
Like I like the body
like,
weight.
I just need the weight of
I
a
just
man.
did.
There's a line in Sex and the City when I think Carrie is like, I just need a man to lay on me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've never related more to that. Like people, there's weighted blankets.
Yeah.
So that you can feel like you have a body on you.
I need one of those. So after that, I was going to Miami with my friends.
Wait,
and
did he keep his underpants on for you?
Yeah, the first time.
Okay. Whoa!
We'll get to the second one in a
Okay.
minute. So after that, I was like, I had to go, like I went shopping because I left feeling like all was good in the world. I was a sensual goddess.
Did you come?
Yeah, I came.
Okay.
And then I went to, like into a store and I put on this dress that I usually would have been like in the mirror. It was like tight and white. And I would have been like poking at like my weird saddle baggy things. And like, you know, maybe my tummy sticks out too much in this place. But I just was like, you know what? I feel good in this dress. And I bought it and I wore it in Miami and it was awesome. So
amazing.
He gave me some inner confidence.
Confidence.
But the second time,
Okay.
you know, Aaron is like a dominatrix man guy.
Dominus. I think it's just a dom.
He's a
pro dom. Yeah.
He's a pro dom.
Yeah.
Dominus. So I've never been tied up and I was like, I want to be tied up. So he tied me up.
On the wall?
So he just tied my arms behind my back in this beautiful, like intricate knotted thing, like with rope work.
Cool.
And so my arms were over my head and my fists, were tied together behind my neck, kind of. And then he like did sense play. So he would like scratch me with this like glove that had all these like spiky things that are called like vampire gloves or something. I'm probably messing this up. And like a flog thing and like a spanky thing and a paddle
thing
and like a thing that looked like a horse's tail but with like lots of leather.
I think that's called a cat of nine tails.
Ooh.
Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah.
And I was super into it. And so I actually have a picture. I asked him to take a picture of me all tied up. So that's also in the vault.
That's your spank bank.
Spank bank.
Do you get off to Liz? Like,
What do you mean?
Are you ever looking at Liz yourself? You're Liz in this episode. Like, would you look at that photo and be like, ooh, I'm so turned on by me?
Not like if I'm trying to like masturbate,
Okay.
but knowing I have that makes me feel naughty
and sexy.
and sexy. Yeah. And the idea of showing it to someone is like, ooh, like,
Yeah.
I kind of want to show it to everyone, but no one. And like having that option
Yeah.
is exciting to me.
Cool. And so then I guess I didn't have any assignments after that because I just used my womanizer, and then I guess you bought one as oh no, you have a competing toy.
Yeah. But I went to a sex shop
Yeah.
to look for the womanizer, and I ended up with another one. And I talked to the woman in the sex shop for a while, and she, gave me all kinds of different information. So it was a really good experience because before I was just walking and listening to the podcast, and I was like, ooh, I wonder if there's like a sex shop nearby. So I went and I ended up telling her about the pod, and she gave me a bunch of recommendations for different things, and I got it. And now like I really love it. Like I love the suction.
Yeah. It's really great. So yeah, I guess that's all of the assignments. Has it gotten easier with guys? Like, have you slept with anyone since?
I've only slept with one.
Okay.
And that was great, but I don't know if it was, I think it's obviously all part of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was, I think, just being more turned on in general.
Yeah.
And before that, I had masturbated before that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Kind of like in preparation. I was like, this is happening. I need to get ready.
You masturbated before the date? Okay.
Mm-hmm. I did.
Okay. But so as like early foreplay?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because I just was kind of like...
You're like mascara, lipstick, masturbate. Okay, see you soon.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's kind of like... It's definitely like foreplay. Like I was already feeling like juiced up and excited and sexy, and I just wanted to set the right note.
And then was he good at sex? Like, did you ask for what you wanted more? Or?
Yes, he was amazing.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Where is he now?
Well, this is on my blog.
Oh yeah, so we have to talk about this because Liz she didn't just go through my podcast. She's very type A, and she likes to make goals and set them. So there's another very popular podcast called 51 First Dates.
Yeah.
And they go on one date a week, and you've been doing that as well. And you keep, like, you guys can read Liz's blog.
It's a secret blog.
Okay.
It's called datesanddata.blogspot.com, and I have 10 up already. And date number 7 is the last guy I had sex with. And yeah, you can read all about it. He was French.
Okay.
And I said, I understand why they named it French kissing, because he was just really good at everything. And I also kind of made up my mind that I was going to have sex with him before.
Wait, so this is not the one that you masturbated before the date?
It is.
It is.
I've been on like 6 dates.
Yeah.
And I was like, this one,
I'm ready.
I just want to. But sadly, he like kind of stalked me after.
Oh.
And yeah, like I blocked him. I said I wasn't interested. And then he like even like sent me a Facebook DM, like every avenue. And I was just like, this is too intense. I have to.
What was the thing that turned you off about him in the first, like when did you decide you were like, I don't really want to talk anymore?
So it was like a logistical thing where he was like, hey, like, can I see you? And I was like, oh, I'm out with my friends. I would love to see you later, but I'm not sure. And then he followed up and I was like, yeah, I'm still like, I just finished dinner. I'm like really full and like don't feel great. I don't think tonight's the right night. And
I have to shit. I don't want to fuck you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then he was like not getting it. He was like, I'm on my way. And I was like, no, like I don't, like I said no.
Yeah.
Then he's like, but you said you wanted to see me earlier. This is fucked up. And I was like, bye.
Yeah.
So I like deleted everything and blocked him because I was like, he's not getting the hint. And if he can't get the hint that I don't want to see him, he won't be able to get the hint if I don't want to have sex one time.
Right.
So that was sad and disappointing, but it was also like that one night was fantastic, and it just
It can live in its
there.
own memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the spank bank.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's talk about last night. Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so last night I was invited to a sex party because I do this shit
People invite you.
because people invite me. And I was like, yeah, I want to go because I think I'm going to throw like a little How Come festival, you guys. It's not going to be a sex party, but I think it's going to be like stand up and live podcasts and all this shit. And I was like, where better to do it than a sex club? So I was thinking I'll go there to scout the location and I'll bring my friends Liz and Sloan because Sloan has been dying to go too. And Liz, I knew that she'd already gone to Erin and I was like, she would be so down for this. And like, I'm not going alone. So yeah, so we went. What do you want to lead everyone through your night?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I think it started before we even got there because just like the anticipation of it, I went shopping for like black sexy things, which was really fun just like in itself. Like
Yeah.
if we like ended up not going, but I had just had the earlier part of the day of trying on lingerie and like different things, like it was really fun. So we were all looking hot.
Yeah, we looked good.
Then we get there and it's like in a basement and there's like multiple rooms.
Yep.
So there's like the dungeon, which was like the one I kind of had my eye on because now I'm into all this stuff since Dominus.
Yeah.
And
the dungeon is different from prison. There was also a prison where it was like actual prison cells. There was a jungle room. There's all these different types of rooms. This is, by the way, a different sex party than the one I went to first. Like a lot more shit went down at this one.
yeah, they had all kinds of different lube and condoms and bowls, and they had some drink. It was BYOB, which was nice. We forgot, but there were drinks there to be had.
But I think that was good because at one point I couldn't find you, and I was like, oh my God, maybe Liz is too drunk and like she's getting like, and Sloan was like, she had 2 drinks.
Yeah.
Like she's fine.
Over like 4 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, when we got there, we got a little tour.
Yeah.
And then we got our drinks, and then we kind of just sat in this little room that was like lit by a red light with a mirror and just like mattresses on the floor covered in like soft black sheets. And we just, me, Remy, and Sloan were just sitting there chatting. And then a woman comes in.
Yep. And she was like, can I join you guys? And I think we all had the same thought that was like, oh, fuck, we're not gay. And what if she wants to hook up with us? And like, I know Sloan said that she was thinking that. She's like, at what point do I have to tell her I'm not gay? And it was just the nicest conversation. There was no expectation. She was just like, hey, can I sit down and talk to you? And we were like, yeah. And then we started talking about like politics and sustainability, like different fabrics and stuff. Like it was like nice, comfortable conversation. And then literally like 15 minutes later, we go into another room and there's people like electrocuting each other. And lo and behold, there's our friend who loves sustainable resources getting like electrocuted with her shirt off.
Yeah. And it was really interesting because the person who was getting electrocuted, someone else would touch her and then we would touch them and we would get a shock.
Yeah.
So it was like people started touching each other that way.
Yeah. That was fun. Then there was like these little like spiky things, the rollers. And this is one thing that confused me at the party was there was a guy, like there was a bunch of people there who work for the sex club and they know how to use the tools, and then there's other people who are just members who have been there before, and like I know they have like a new members meeting about how to like give consent and like how to use some of the tools, but it was confusing who was there who was working and who was there who was a guest, because we went into the electric shock room and there was a guy with like that like it's like a spike thing on a roller or whatever. And it felt like someone was prickling you. And so he was like, oh, I'll prickle all of you. And like, so Sloane's doing it, Liz is doing it, I'm doing it. And then I don't know, for me there was like a weird moment, because initially I just thought of him as like, oh, this is an instructor. And then he was asking, being like, is this good for you? Do you like this? And I was like, yeah, that's amazing. Like all the hairs were like standing up on the back of my neck. And then he was like, do you mind if I touch you with my hands? And I was like, yeah, that's great. Like I love being touched. And then something like flipped where I was like, oh my God, this isn't an instructor. This is someone who like wants to bang. And in that moment, I was like, wait, I feel like I'm cheating now. Because I just thought this was like, oh, Remy gets a massage. And it just made me feel like, oh shit, I just got the shivers from someone who isn't a professional. And like,
but we still don't know for sure.
Well, we don't know for sure.
Don't know for sure.
Yeah. But for me, like we had talked about this earlier, I think I went in with very hard boundaries. I was like, I'm here to scout the space, watch people bang, and like, that's it. Because like I have a boyfriend and we're not open. And yeah, so then the second I was like, oh wait, this guy's actually like enjoying my pleasure and might want something else, I was like, okay, well, this is one of the moments that I have to say stop. And even though it was feeling really nice, I was like, okay. And I like turned around and I was like, that was great. And then he kept trying to touch and I was like, no, that was wonderful, thank you. And it was just like such like a, I don't know, it was a weird moment for me.
And also throughout the night, like there was like a shirtless guy who was like talking to me, and then all of a sudden he was like touching my arm, and I was just like, I think people are much more forward.
Yeah.
And I had to like, I found that I think I'm like a pretty like liberated, empowered woman.
Yeah.
But it was still hard to like maneuver, like, okay, I don't want this person to touch me, but I'm not going to just say it outright. I'm going to like position myself a little bit differently and hope he picks up on cues, and I'm gonna.
But I think that's something that we were missing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think we've never been to like a new members thing where it was like, this is how you ask for sex and this is how you reject sex.
We need to know how to reject it.
Yeah, because we like didn't like, and I said this to you too, in the normal world, I never get hit on. I never have people looking at me, making that, eye contact. And maybe it's because I'm a bitch, or maybe I don't know what it is. But I think people in that setting, they were like, oh, you're here to fuck. And I'm going to be more forward with you because I am also here to fuck. And so because of that eye contact, I felt stunning. Like I felt very wanted, and I've never felt that way like at a bar or anything. I always feel like the ugliest person there. So that is one thing I will say about it, was that you felt wanted, you knew, but it was difficult when somebody was like, wait, you're just here to observe. It was kind of like, you're not giving back to the community.
Yeah, and the way I felt was like, my assumption, which now I kind of see was wrong, is that it doesn't, there's so many, shades before you get to like intercourse.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, my soft boundary was like, I just want to like experience some people in like a light way. Like maybe like you can spank me, or like I had that guy like use that like pointy roller on me. But like I wasn't necessarily like, this is foreplay to fucking you. I was like, there's a million people here and I want to keep my options open, and I want to, experiment with these different toys around and these different things. And it became clear as the night went on that people like the point was kind of to fuck, like intercourse.
Yeah. Which is like, that's totally great if that's what you came for. I mean, like I love, like, okay, the last sex party I went to, I left at 1 a.m. and I hadn't even seen one person fucking. I just saw maybe somebody topless. This party, there were people fucking at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Like I walked into a room and there was like 2 dudes plowing 2 girls, and they were all so hot. And like, it was crazy.
I mean, everyone at this party was very attractive.
Very attractive. And like, there was a lot more nudity. Like at the other party, it was like, oh yeah, like wear slinky black stuff. Like this one, there was people walking around in like contraptions, like corsets and like bras with no fabric. And like, it was great.
Yeah.
Sloan and I went into prison at one point, and there was a girl there who was giving spankings out, and she was like, have you been bad? And I was like, Sloan's been bad. She was just like, yeah, like I'll have a spanking, whatever. And then the girl was like, do you mind taking your shorts off so I can like get it better? And she was like, okay. And then I just see her standing there with her butt out. And like, what was nice too was everyone was really respectful of space. Like if you were doing something with someone else, the people who are working there would be like, you can look, but like don't get too close, and like ask them if you want to join in or whatever. Like that part all seemed really respectful to me.
Yeah, there was this machine that you sit on and it like vibrates, and I actually
The motor bunny.
I tried it and I really didn't like it.
I know.
And then I was like a little bit shamed by this French guy.
Yeah.
Who was like, what, you didn't like it?
He's like, I've never had a girl not orgasm from the motor bunny. And I was like, well, it's not on her. Like,
It's like, it was literally all of my body weight, like sitting on this hard plastic thing that was vibrating. It was like just too much for me.
yeah.
And it was so small. I was like squatting. So I was like doing like a squat, like holding a wall squat like I used to do in like tennis practice.
Yeah.
Holding a wall squat, trying to like get in the right position, plus like a lot of pressure on my undercarriage. Like it was just too intense
Not
for
good.
me. Yeah.
No, I think that was like the first thing. Did we do that before the prickle room? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I was like, oh, this is what I did last time. And then I gave the dial to that guy. And I thought you guys were like flirting. And then the second like he came over, he was like, oh, she did not like it.
I tried so hard and I was trying to be flirty about it, but also not lie.
Yeah.
Like I was not going to pretend I liked it.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, you know, being honest with him, but he was taking it personally. I was like, this is not you. It's a machine.
Yeah.
Did you make this machine? Like clearly not.
No. Yeah. And then he came over to me and he kind of shamed me for being there and not being, he's like, so what did you come for? And I was like, I wanted to watch. And he was like, ew.
But then later on,
Yeah.
I ended up on a mattress and he was next to me with the girl from the first conversation.
What?
Yeah.
With plastic
Sustainability girl.
sustainability girl?
Yeah. So it was weird because we talked to a lot of people and then we started seeing like, there was a guy who just started touching me. He was talking to you, and then he started touching me. And then I kind of tried to find you again because I was like, need an excuse to get away from him. And then I walked in and he's fucking someone. And I was like, I know all the names. Like, hi, Bob. Like,
You were like, hi, plastic sustainability girl.
Yeah. And then the French guy and this other. Yeah. It was just funny because it was almost like we all kind of started knowing each other.
Yeah. There was one guy there who was like selling weed and he was like clearly very uncomfortable. So he was like my buddy and I kept being like, hey, buddy. I was like, oh, you took your jacket off. You're comfortable now. He's like, well, we're getting there. Which I thought there was like a lot of new people that were like, oh, like we've never done this. And then there's other people that's like literally in a jail cell sucking each other's dicks, banging.
Yeah.
It was an interesting mix of people. And then you had a little more of an experience than the rest of us.
I did. So, well, I started off like with layers in terms of clothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had on like a bra and like high-waisted panties, and then I had a slip over it, and then I had a black dress over that. So by the time that I met this, we'll call him Darian. Yes. By the time I met Darian, I was just I took the slip off, so I was just in the black dress with the bra and panties. And then he wanted to do that spiky thing, so I had to take off the dress. So I was just in the bra and panties, but I tied the dress around my waist, so it kind of looked like a skirt, and it was kind of cool. So after the prickly stuff that we all did, he was like, do you want to get a drink? And I was like, yeah, because I needed to like switch to water at that point.
Yeah.
And so we got a drink and we're just talking. And I was like, I want to do some sense play. I want to like be spanked and I want to like do more of that. So we went into the dungeon room and we did that. And he, did the thing to me, the prickly thing and some slapping. And then I did it to him, which was cool.
You did the prickly thing or some slapping?
I did both.
Okay.
Actually, I didn't slap, but I kind of wish I had now. I just did the prickly thing and I, scratched him with my nails and rubbed his back. And it was fun and I said to him, I just want to do sense play.
Yeah.
Then when he was kind of, my turn again, he kind of was like, started kissing my neck. And I was kind of like, that feels good. And then I turned around and I was like, can you just stay over my clothing? Like you can touch me anywhere but over my clothing. And one thing led to another and he was like fingering and going down on me and I was like, ah. And it was one of those things where it was like, I wasn't like very uncomfortable. Like it felt good.
Yeah.
but he also didn't like ask, and he
Yeah.
also didn't,
Which is strange because, and Darian's the same one who was doing prickles and touches to me, like every along the way, is this good? Do you like this? Can I keep going or whatever? And I honestly don't think I would have had the ability to be like, no, if he hadn't kept asking. And so it surprises me that he would ask so much of me and then just kind of assume with you.
Yeah, he like, and he put my hand on his dick twice and I put it away, like pulled it away. But like, he was like, oh, you're arching your back. And I was like, yeah, like it feels good. But he wasn't like, can I put my tongue on your pussy? Like he just did that.
Yeah.
And I think that like my body was clearly being like, yes. But like, just because my back is arching towards you doesn't mean I was
that's
feeling
that's a
safe.
thing about like, and I'm not saying that you were raped by any means, but
Yeah.
like a lot of rape survivors feel guilty because their body does respond. You do get wet, or your dick gets hard or whatever, and you're like, oh, that's on me. Like, no, body responses are responses, but that's why we need to focus more on enthusiastic consent. And like saying like, yes, I want you to touch me more versus let me see how many things I can try on you until you say no.
Exactly. And it was like that. Like I didn't walk away feeling like necessarily violated, but I was also like, I wasn't like, yes.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I didn't have an orgasm, but I was kind of spent. And then I was like, I need some water. Then Remy came in and I was like, let's go. And so I did not do anything to him and I felt guilty, but he wasn't the biggest champ.
I know, but that's what was the saddest thing to me. So I thought I lost Liz, and Sloan had to go to a party, and she was like, Liz wouldn't have left, and I was like, well, if she didn't leave, that means that she is in one of these rooms. And I went through the chapel, I went through the jungle room. There's another door off the jungle room, which is where like the real shit happens. Like you're not supposed to even look in there or whatever. And I'm going to all the rooms, and I've done it like 16 times. Not 16, but like for like 15 minutes, I was walking around being like, Liz, has anyone seen Liz? And then I was like, okay, maybe she's in the room off the jungle room. Like that would be crazy. And then I like opened the curtain. I'm like, no, that's two separate couples hooking up in there. And like one of them's getting her box eaten or whatever. And then I closed it. And then I was like, but was that Liz's underwear?
It was my box.
It was your box. And then I was like, Liz? And she was like, hey. Hey, perfect timing. And it was so funny because, or not funny, haha, but interesting to me because first you seemed so proud of yourself.
Yeah.
That you were like, I did this cool, kinky, like, and then it switched to, oh, I have to give this guy my number because I didn't do anything. Like you immediately were like, oh, just give me your number. And he was like, are you guys leaving? And I was like, yeah, we're leaving. And then you were like, just call me so that I can make it up to you or whatever. Like when like you owe him nothing.
I know. And he like, this is the thing also, because we were in the dungeon and then we started having like a really deep conversation like about like mental illness and depression and meditation and things like that. And he's like, oh, let's just go somewhere more comfortable. And then we're in the jungle room with two other couples.
Yeah.
It's a French guy and
sustainability girl fucking next to you.
Fucking next to me. And I was just like, whoa. And then I wasn't even sitting on the bed. I was sitting on the floor and we were drinking, or I was drinking my water. He was drinking his wine. We were just talking. And then, he was like, what do you want? And I was like, well, I would, you know, because he was saying he's a giver. I was like, I would just really love if you would just like do that prickly thing on my back. And just, and at one point I said, hey, can you do soft touches on my back now? And he was like, I love that you asked for what you want. And then he
just went
for
did
it.
his thing. Yeah. That's not the best.
But it was it's an experience.
It was an experience. And I think it's definitely like giving us more vocabulary, at least. I don't know. But what I also thought was interesting was Sloan was not hooking up, but Sloan was flirting with this other French guy. Let's call him Pierre. And Pierre was like super hot and really into her. And then she was just like, no, I'm not into it. And then literally like 15 minutes later, he was like being spanked by this other girl and like then eventually was like hooking up with her. And it was just such an interesting real time way to see like, oh fuck, I'm not that special. Which like normally like you would reject a guy and then not see him for a while and you'd be thinking, oh oh, poor guy. He must be feeling so sad. And like this guy was literally in the next room getting like whipped and spanked by someone else. So it was kind of like, okay, you don't need to feel so bad.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, he should be happy I didn't fuck him and leave, because it's kind of, men are kind of like one or done, or they at least have a refractory period. So I was like, I'm just like the little appetizer. And he can find any other woman in here. Like, he was so gorgeous.
Yeah, he was gorgeous.
He was like interesting looking and good looking.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think if he said he's a giver and you said that's all you wanted to receive, then I don't think you should feel guilty or bad or anything.
Yeah. I just felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then I was like very much felt bad because you were looking for me. And then I was very much like the two combination was like, I want to get out of here right now.
Yeah.
But you know, it was, and the thing is, looking back, I'm like, and this happens all the time, right? Like, I wanted him to listen to what I said, my boundaries, and notice, oh, when you put my hands on your dick, I take it away.
Right. So don't put it back there.
Don't put it back there. I already said that I want everything over the clothing. Don't go under the clothes. Like, what else could I have said other than had to be like, no, please don't do that.
Yeah.
Which totally ruins the vibe and the mood.
Yeah.
So
and it was such a sexy I mean, like that whole party, like you're like looking like all around and like feeling like so like intoxicated. Like Sloan was saying it, she was like, yeah, you get like secondhand horny, just like there was this couple that was banging in jail, and Sloan and I were watching them, and we were just like, oh my God, like they're just like so hot and banging and like don't give a fuck, and like they feel safe because we're not going to go over there and like stick our fingers in their butts. Like, it's cool. There was also like not a ton of hair at that party. Like everyone was very well groomed. There was no bush.
Except for my bush.
You had bush. That's true.
I like the 70s vibe.
That's why you were in the jungle room.
That's why I was in the jungle room. I mean, it didn't stop him, so.
Yeah, I mean, I had a great time. I would go back. Would you?
I think I would go back. I think that knowing that this club has like a newbie presentation, I would go to the newbie presentation.
Yeah.
So maybe I have more skills, but you
also don't want to be with just the noobs because they're not going to get as weird. Like literally the last one I went to, no one doing anything by 1 a.m. This one, people penetrating each other in same rooms as other people at 10 p.m.
I think I would want to go back with a partner.
I think so too.
The stranger thing was just like, because in my head I was just like, oh, like now that I have this weird guy's tongue. He was really great. He was a really interesting, nice person. Like he was just, I think, got caught up or whatever it is. I mean, I still think he should have been a little bit more attentive, to what I was saying.
Yeah.
But in terms of like everything that we had been talking about, we kind of vibed, but I'm always weird with new people. So I think that I wouldn't have ever had full-blown sex unless I had someone there with me who I already knew.
Yeah, see, Sloan was like, I would never make out with somebody here, but I could get fucked.
I made out. It was really good.
Yeah, you made out.
I just kind of wanted to just make out.
Yeah.
I really just like being made out with and touched.
Yeah.
Spanked a little.
Yeah. I think it also, like, you don't want to go alone, but you don't necessarily want to go with friends. Like, it was fun for us because we're all like, hee, and like experiencing stuff together. But like, like Sloan was like, this is like if the world didn't exist. You could come here and do whatever you want and then leave. And if you're a good secret keeper, nobody ever has to know about it.
Yeah.
The only caveat to that is if your friend's there, the world still exists because they know about it.
Exactly.
Like,
or you go on a podcast to talk about it.
Or you go on a podcast to talk about it anonymously as Liz.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I'd go back. I'd love to take Ben. So we'll see. We'll update you guys on that if he ends up coming with me.
Yeah. Because you asked him.
I did.
And he volunteered
and
me.
He was like, take Liz.
I was like, okay, I haven't tried that one from the earlier episodes.
And then Sloan was like, well, I too would like to go. So yeah, it was fun. I had a good time. I would like to be, I felt I wasn't giving enough to the room. But there was some guy at the party who was like, yeah, there was a 70-year-old woman here once who was just sitting in lingerie on a couch watching. And he's like, and I think she gave enough to the party, definitely.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, yeah, there's validity in people just attending.
And I think another thing I really loved was that I didn't talk about work or like, so I, at least as someone who talks about work all the time, was able to like escape a little bit from that and just talk about the present moment, what was going on.
It's like be wild, and then the world doesn't exist, and then it exists again when you leave, and then you're a person again.
And it was also just humbling to like see all these amazing different kinds of beautiful bodies, and like, I don't know, just everyone was just
Fat,
relating,
skinny, but always, but in lingerie and beautiful, like
adorned.
And people didn't feel ashamed to be like, you look beautiful tonight. So it was nice. But I think ultimately, like, we do need to keep working on our communication.
Yep.
But yeah, I would love to go to another one. I think it would be real fun. I saw so many new dicks and vaginas and boobs.
So many boobs, so many big penises.
Big, huge penises.
Like intimidating penises a lot. And then it was just like we were all just humans with like bodies.
Yeah.
And they weren't perfect, none of them, but they were all gorgeous and interesting and different skin colors and different sizes. And so I'd go again too, but maybe with a person.
Yeah. Well, Liz, thanks so much for coming on this episode.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. So I guess our assignment this week is to listen to some ASMR on YouTube. ASMR. You would love waking up in my room because Grace literally chews on plastic to wake me up every morning. She's like, I'm hungry.
See, I love that sound.
Do you love that
It's only when it's like in headphones in my ear, though. Yeah.
All right. This has been a great episode. Liz, I just have to ask this to all of our guests. Did you finish?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. Great. Thank you for coming. And we'll see you next time on How Come.
Bye.
Bye.
It's not you, it's me. I try so hard to finish honestly. They say you'll know when you go all the way from A right down to O. Oh no, I think that I've still got a ways to go. Oh, I'm sick of this and I have got to know. How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna jizz.
Wait, but Rami, just listen to this.
No, stop it. Stop. This isn't an ASMR episode. Another thing I just want to talk about. Last week we had a sex and disability episode with Hannah Sawyer, Chris Crespo, and Spencer Williams. The first half was Hannah and me on the phone. Second half was Chris and Spencer and I just sitting together chatting. And after the episode came out, Hannah wrote me about Chris and Spencer's half, and she was saying that they had said a lot of things that were a bit douchey. And would I have let them say those things if they were able-bodied people? Which I think is an interesting concept. I think I called Chris out on the Stephen Hawking thing. Cheating is never good. Even if you're in a wheelchair and it seems impossible, it's not a win. I mean, cheating's bad. I guess I should have called Chris out more in the moment, but Chris is a comedian. You guys do have to understand this is a comedy podcast, and we're having fun. But if you were offended by the episode, anything said on it, let me know, because I care about your opinions and I don't want to say offensive shit. But like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm just a girl who started a podcast because she couldn't come. And so I'm just learning about stuff at the rate that you guys are. Yes, I do have a voice and I should be more concerned about the things that people say on this podcast, but you guys have a voice too. Write me in. So if you thought putting pussy magnet was offensive on the back of your wheelchair or having a girl sit around on your lap, that was offensive, let me know. I thought the image of Spencer having a girl on his lap on cobblestone streets and making her come was kind of erotic and awesome. But I also understand the viewpoint if saying having sex with a woman is a win. Yeah, it sounds a little misogynistic. I took it as it's an honor and he was excited. But yeah, if you had a problem, please let me know. And we'll see you next time on How Come.